Здравейте, уважаеми зрители! Ето ни във втората част на разговора с доктор Пол Крейг Робъртс. Първата част посветихме изцяло на конфликта, по-скоро на терористичният акт, който наблюдавахме от страна на Израел и САЩ спрямо Иран. Втората част ще говорим за последиците от този конфликт, но преди това, последните няколко дни, знаете, доста шумно беше обявена една спасителна акция на един от пилотите на американски кораб, който беше прихванат на територията на Иран. Това много ни напомни на един филм, който беше доста известен, поне след средите, политическите среди, наричаше се "Да разлаем кучетата". Там имаше една подобна сцена. Отрязахме един кратък отказ, който ще помоля доктор Пол Крейг Робъртс след това да коментира. Okay, Mr. Roberts, we are starting a very short movie part, and after this I will kindly ask you to comment it.
That was over, guys.
No, it's over.
I saw it on television.
I'm gonna have to sell my house.
The war's not over.
No, the war isn't over.
I saw it on TV.
No, that's what you hired me for. No, the war isn't over till I say it's over, okay? This is my picture. This is not the CIA's picture. This is nothing. This is nothing. This is just Act 1, the war. Now we really do need an Act 2. So we work. Act 2.
You know what it's like?
What?
The Japanese.
What?
In the caves.
Go on.
Okinawa.
Go on.
They didn't believe the war was over.
That's right. So now we have a guy who doesn't believe... No. We have an American serviceman.
A brave American serviceman is left behind.
A hero.
And I ordered the U.S. Armed Forces to do whatever was necessary to bring our brave warriors back home.
What was I thinking? We had a war, we forgot the hero. You can't have a war and not have a hero.
One of America's best and bravest was alive.
But by a designation number, 303. A member of that group was left behind what were then enemy lines.
But in the United States military, we leave no American behind.
Mr. Roberts, I don't know if the situation is, at the moment the situation in Iran is the same, but it suspiciously reminds of that movie.
Well, you know, it wasn't a rescue operation. It was an assault. It was an assault on an Iranian nuclear facility. And what the real intentions were, I don't know. Whether to try to take away enriched uranium or whether to try to destroy the facility. But according to President Trump himself, hundreds of people were involved.
Уважаеми зрители, продължаваме с разговорите на живо тук в студиото на Поглед. Залисани от всичките политически и геополитически теми, забравихме една от най-важните теми, а именно тази, свързана с децата. Поради тази причина, гост в следващото ни живо предаване ще бъде психиатърът доктор Цветослава Гълбова, с която ще говорим за зависимостите сред подрастващите. Обръщаме се към вас, всички майки, бащи, баби и дядовци. Заповядайте тук, за да поговорим открито за едни от най-важните проблеми, свързани с нашето бъдеще. 21 април от 19 часа, студиото на Поглед. Заповядайте.
You remember he wants to arrest someone who leaked something about the mission on the grounds that that person who did the leak had endangered hundreds of U.S. personnel. So if there were indeed U.S. Navy SEAL teams there, U.S. Army Special Forces there, this is not what you send to rescue a pilot. And so it appears to be the case that the original mission failed. And to cover up the loss of all the equipment, the planes, the helicopters, the White House concocted a story that it was a rescue mission, and they turned it into bravado, heroism. Only America can do this, and so on and so on. And that is to cover up the defeat and failure of what was a military mission. Now, the strangest thing about the president's press conference on that Monday, April the 6th, I think it was, neither of the two rescued pilots was present. Now, having spent 25 years in Washington, I know for a fact the propaganda advantage of having those two pilots present would have been tremendous. There's no reason for them not to be present. Iran can't do anything to two pilots in the United States. Why would Iran have any more animosity toward them than toward any other member of the U.S. military? And yet we still don't know who they are. We are given code names for them, not real names. No one's seen them. The media hasn't asked, where are they? Who are they? Where are they? So we don't even know if the pilot rescue story is real or made up. It seems perplexing to me that Trump would not have had both pilots there, because that gives credibility to the story. It makes it reaches the American population in a patriotic way. There are the rescued men. Well, all we know is they're claimed to be rescued men, but no one's seen them. We don't know their names. So are they fictional? If the story is fictional, which it is, because it was a military operation, not a rescue operation, then maybe the rescued pilots are also not real, fictional. So it's a funny thing for Trump to take the risk that we are these pilots. Do they really exist? Why run the risk of skepticism if you can produce the bodies, the people? I'm surprised they weren't there and he wasn't pinning the Medal of Honor on them. This would have sealed the American belief in his explanation. But with no pilots, it makes the explanation suspicious.
Absolutely. Speaking about this operation, like in Iran, totally, there is one thing that is also very strange. It's the behavior of the NATO allies here. Obviously, Donald Trump asked them for help at one moment, but surprisingly, he didn't receive the help, the support that he was expecting. Does it mean that NATO is falling apart, or at least is tearing apart?
Well, you have to consider that Trump has made many attacks on NATO, and and one of the attacks is he was going to seize Greenland from Denmark, a NATO member. And he has said despairing things about NATO. Paper tiger, they're nothing without us. They don't support their own defense, or they're part of NATO, and the fact that he had to call on NATO for help when he simultaneously claimed he had already destroyed Iran.
8 times he announced that he already won the war.
He's already run the war, but he needs NATO's help after he's won the war. Well, that tells me he was using NATO, knowing that they couldn't do anything and wouldn't, as a way of exiting, of trying to pass the problem on to NATO. And if they don't take it up, it's their own fault. We don't need the oil anyhow. We have our own oil. You need the oil, NATO. So you go over there and open the strait. You see, it doesn't make any sense. It's not consistent with his claims to have destroyed Iran. They've got no Navy, no Air Force, no missiles, no military. So why isn't the strait open?
Good question.
It's. I think that Trump creates policies that he doesn't really intend to create with his tweets. He can't control his emotions or his reactions. He's a man who's had a lot of frustrations. I mean, the frustrations go back to 2016. You know, he's had a decade of frustrations, false prosecutions of him, efforts to steal his resources. For example, the New York Attorney General, the black woman, Letitia James, she brought a case essentially that would result in dispossessing Trump of his New York real estate empire. He's had all of these kinds of, 2 attempts at impeachment, 4 criminal prosecutions by the Biden regime. This is stress, especially for an older man. And so it could be his frustrations are just so high that he easily explodes. And when he explodes, he's created a policy he didn't mean to have. And then he's got to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. But right now, not only himself, not only America, but the whole world needs to get out of this situation, because right now we have a serious problem. I see on the news that the United States also, you have a higher price of the oil, of the fuels. Here in Bulgaria is the same. In Germany, it's like a nightmare. In France, there is not enough. We're not talking here about prices. We're talking about quantity that is not enough for the country. And everything happens because of everything that we spoke on the first part. But you as an economist, as a person who is watching and the politics and the finance, what can you tell me? Where are we going here as a world right now? Because this is not something that will be okay in 2 months from now on.
Yeah, that's true enough. First, let me say that the fact that France and Germany and everyone else is having problems with energy and the price, and it's their own fault. They didn't stand up to Trump. They didn't say, hey, you can't do this. We don't support this. We're not on your side if you do this. You're going to isolate the United States. No one opposed this reckless policy of Trump and Netanyahu. So either they're so scared of Israel and being called anti-Semitic, or they're so scared of the United States turning off money, they didn't protect their own interest. So it's the silence of the world in the face of declared war crimes, they were willing to accept the war crimes as long as it didn't impact them. Well, it was obvious it was going to impact them. So it's their own fault.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you ask about what happens if the Iranians continue reducing the outflows of oil from the Persian Gulf. You know, they haven't stopped it. They allow the oil flows to friendly countries as if they can control it. Any oil that gets, oil is fungible, just like money. Any oil that gets out can end up anywhere. So what they're doing is simply reducing the supply that's getting out and thereby causing the price to rise. And the price rises then because transportation and energy creation is into every product and service. It raises all prices. And what raises the income? And if the incomes aren't going up with prices, then people's incomes, real incomes, are falling. Mm-hmm. And this is most severe on poor countries. So if the United States and Israel continues this pressure on Iran, and the Iranian response is to continue to restrict the flow of oil and fertilizer as a way of putting pressure on the United States from the rest of the world to stop the stupid policy that Israel has imposed, you can't blame Iran. It's a response to aggression. It's not aggression on the part of Iran. And so you come back to where is the cause? Not Iran. The cause is in Tel Aviv and Washington. There's the cause. And if the world is not prepared to confront Washington and Tel Aviv, then the world deserves whatever happens.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
they can't free ride on the process. They can't say, we're not involved, but you mustn't inflict any cost on us. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, where's the resolutions in the United Nations? There should be 30 or 40 every day condemning the United States and Israel for war crimes. Every day there should be 30 or 40 introduced. Mm-hmm. Countries should be recalling their ambassadors. They should be expelling the American and Israeli ambassadors. Go home, we don't want you here. You're war criminals. Get out of our territory. This is what the world should be doing. And then Israel and the United States find they're isolated.
But they're not.
But as long as the world accepts, look, the world accepted the Gaza genocide.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
So apparently they'll accept anything. So they've got no right to complain.
They're accepting even the 60 years sanctions on Cuba. Right now, 10 million people are without electricity over there. Can you tell me what exactly is going on and why the Cuban people, the Cuban country is suffering so much time?
I don't know why the United States continues to pick on Cuba. Mm. I just don't know why. All of that was supposed to come to an end years ago. And why it got renewed and why Trump now says next he's going to take over Cuba.
Exactly.
I don't know. He took over Venezuela because he wants the oil. But the Cuba thing, I don't know. I don't know why. And I don't know why Russia simply doesn't send tankers escorted by Russian warships and submarines.
They did it before a few days. One tanker just arrived in Cuba, but it's not enough.
Tanker, not enough. But it would, it would show the rest of the world. See, the failure, like in the Soviet days, the Soviets wouldn't have put up with that. They wouldn't have put up with it. Putin does. He puts up with anything. So there's no leadership in standing up to America except Iran. The Iranians are the only country on the face of the earth that will stand up to Washington and Israel.
Speaking of this, we have the West didn't manage to win the conflict in Ukraine against Russia. Now the USA and Israel are not able to win against Iran. The world and the United States and the West part of the world couldn't win the economic war with China. Is it time to say that something is going on and something is changing in the world, like the order and the hegemony that we know already, it's past?
Well, we don't know if it's past because the rest of the world isn't standing up to it in a very firm way. Iran is standing up to it. I don't think Russia's standing up to it at all. Putin has destroyed his own credibility. He's never enforced any of his red lines. He ignores strategic attacks on Russia, claims they're not acts of war, they're terrorist events. This lets him get around the Russian requirement that he respond in kind. China avoids all confrontation. This whole war, I think we've discussed it before, Ruben, this whole war with Iran could easily have been avoided. All that was necessary was for China, Russia, and Iran to announce a mutual security agreement. There would have been no attack on Iran. Israel and America, they're not stupid enough to go to war with Russia, China, and Iran at the same time. The United States and Israel would have been totally destroyed. And that's all they needed to do. Iran, Russia, and China, hey, we've got a mutual security agreement. We've got our own NATO. Attack on one, attack on all. Wouldn't have happened. This would not have happened. Well, why didn't they have the vision to see that?
Perhaps because it will be the last step that is leading us to the Third World War.
No, it would prevent the Third World War. You get to the Third World War by not facing reality, and therefore the opponent keeps escalating the provocations. The Russian Alexander Dugin has said, look, we Russians should take a lesson from what's happening to Iran because we're next.
Yes, that's right.
Well, he's right. But if you can't attack Russia without attacking China and Iran, it's a different situation. If you can't attack Iran without attacking Russia and China, that's different. If you can't attack China without attacking Russia and Iran, so there's no combination of force on earth that could go to war against Russia, China, and Iran. It's not possible. The whole rest of the world together couldn't prevail over that. So it's the lack of leadership in standing up to the United States and Israel that is the problem. And there's no one that steps forward and takes that leadership, except Iran. And Iran only does it part way.
Yes, yeah, that is far away.
They're always ready. They're always ready to settle. To settle. Well, when you show that you're always ready to settle, it means sooner or later you're going to have to. This is the trouble with Putin. Here's the war. It's gone on more than 4 years. It's over a tiny bit of territory. The territory of Donbass, Russia, is 8.8% of Ukrainian territory. And after 4 years, the Russian army hasn't been able to clear that tiny bit of territory of Ukrainian troops. How does anyone take the Russian military seriously? You can't. The Red Army would have cleared it in a few hours. Napoleon would have cleared it in one battle. General Patton would have cleared it in a few days. Well, here's Russia's. And now what is the consequence? Well, now the Ukrainians are using the airspace of Finland and Estonia to launch missiles into the Russian oil depots of the Baltic, so to block Russian oil outflows. What is Russia? Nothing. The population of Estonia is 1.3 million. And the population of Finland is what, 5 or 6 million? Something like that, 7 maybe. These are tiny little countries. They're not scared of Russia. They're right on Russia's border. And they're allowing Ukrainian drones to use their airspace to attack Russia. Now, this is what Putin has achieved in 4 years. No fear of Russia anywhere. No one pays any attention to a word Putin says. They don't care what he says because it doesn't mean anything. There's no leadership. And that is why there's a danger of nuclear war. Mm-hmm. The West, Israel, no one has seen any consequence of their aggression. So it keeps getting worse.
Unfortunately, yes.
Sooner or later, somebody says, I don't have any cheek left to turn. My back's against the wall. And that's when you get your war. And that's what I've been warning against for years. And it's the reason for my concerns. It's the reason I think the world has to stand up to Israel and the United States. That's the only way to stop this. And the first thing on the agenda should be at the UN condemning the Israeli agenda of Greater Israel and saying that this is inconsistent with world peace and you can give this up or you are excluded from the rest of the world. You can't be in the UN. You can't engage in commerce with any country. It takes action. If you want peace, you've got to pay for it. You can't just sit there and say, I want peace, I want peace, I want peace. You have to work for it. You have to obtain it. And there's no effort.
Yes.
And a 2-week ceasefire, what will it achieve? It'll let Trump off the hook.
Yes, obviously.
We'll see what else. What else does it achieve? We'll see. What else does it achieve?
Dr. Roberts, thank you very much for this conversation. Like always, it was a pleasure for us. I hope that at some point we will understand that it's time to stand up and say stop. And we don't want to be a part of this. Obviously, it's way more easier when we're speaking rather to do it. Perhaps there are a lot of influences that are invisible, for me for sure, for a lot of our obvious audience for sure also. You know them, and it's great that you are saying it out loud. Thank you very much once again.
Yes, well, thank you.